Hello, welcome back, grade 9 boys and girls from Rainbow International School. This is your virtual learning program, and today, for our topic in EFL, we shall have Why Schools Don't Educate on pages 107 and 108 from your textbook. So, this is lesson 8.3, second passage. And what are we supposed to do with our passage today? We will read carefully Why Schools Don't Educate. Imagine that you're a journalist who was present when this speech was given. Write a report for the readers of your newspaper in which you make clear the attitude of the speaker and his belief about schools and education. Note, this is still a summary question, but it is expressed in slightly different way from those that you've seen so far. Okay, so in here, you're supposed to write a summary in the form of a summary. What the speech is about, but it should appear like a report to be submitted to your newspaper, and there are two things you have to consider in this task: the attitude of the speaker and his beliefs about schools and education. Okay, so the title is Why Schools Don't Educate. It is an acceptance speech delivered by John Taylor Gatto. He was awarded Teacher of the Year by New York City in 1989. This was delivered in a group of people who acknowledge his being the Teacher of the Year. Okay, actually it's adapted from the Natural Child Project, www.naturalchild.org.guest slash guest slash John underscore Gado.html. Okay, so this was assigned to you to read, and you were told to unlock difficulties, the vocabulary words that are Greek to you should be unlocked or defined. Definitions should be written in your copybook. Okay, so let's see. We will have to know the attitude of the speaker, John Gatto himself, and his beliefs in education. Okay, so in passing, we may skim the lines now so that we will have at least a way to recall what the passage is about. Okay, so let me read for you what the speech is. This is an extract. It's just a part of his speech, though. Okay, if you want to go to the speech, the full text, you may see the link at the end of this presentation. So let's start. I've noticed a fascinating phenomenon in my 25 years of teaching, that schools and schooling are increasingly irrelevant to the great enterprises of the planet. No one believes anymore that scientists are trained in science classes, or politicians in civics classes, or poets in English classes. The truth is that schools don't really teach anything except how to obey orders. Okay, somehow when we stop at some sentences, we come to think of what the sentence was all about, or like a group of sentences. Okay, sometimes they have a common idea and we have to take note of them. All right, so let's see. We're not even done with the paragraph. So this must be one topic in all, a paragraph. Okay, this is a great mystery to me because thousands of humane, caring people work in schools as teachers and aides and administrators, but the abstract logic of the institution overwhelms their individual contributions. Okay, it's somewhat intriguing how the extract started. All right, so that's why it's interesting to know the entire text. Okay, so don't forget the link is at the end of this presentation. Although teachers do care and do work very hard, the institution is psychopathic. It has no conscience. Let's know why, okay? It rings a bell, and the young man in the middle of writing a poem must close his notebook and move to a different cell where he must memorize that man and monkeys derive from a common ancestor. So the thing is, when the bell rings, finished or not finished, you have to pack up your things and either you move to another classroom or another cell or you wait for the next teacher. Okay, and be ready for your next subject. So somehow we are relating to the situation, but not all of the things in here must be in our situation, okay, applicable. Let's continue with the second paragraph. It is absurd and anti-life to be part of a system that compels you to sit in confinement with people of exactly the same age and social class. That system effectively cuts you from the immense diversity of life and the synergy of variety. Indeed, it cuts you off from your own past and future, is scaling you to a continuous present, much the same way television does. Okay, and let's see how is the relationship of schools and television here. Okay, they are both means of educating people, but partly, okay. Let's continue. Next paragraph. It is absurd and the anti-life to be part of a system that compels, so it is repeated here, yes? So they belong to like somewhat an enumeration of beliefs. All right? So again, he started the next paragraph with the same similar phrase. And it is absurd and anti-life to be part of a system that compels you to listen. Here, you to sit in confinement. Here, to listen to a stranger reading poetry when you want to learn to construct buildings, or to sit with a stranger discussing the construction of buildings when you want to read poetry. So somehow we're getting the point. Okay, let's continue. Again, he repeated how he started the preceding two paragraphs. It is absurd and anti-life to move, okay, this time to move from cell to cell, similar to this, okay? It's mentioned here, and let's continue. At the sound of a gong, for every day of your natural youth, in an institution that allows you no privacy and even follows you into the sanctuary of your home, demanding that you do its homework. Okay, how will they learn to read? My answer is that when children are given whole lives instead of age-graded ones in cell blocks, they learn to read, write, and do arithmetic with ease, if those things make sense in the kind of life that unfolds around them. Okay. Based on practicality, he's talking about reality. Let's continue. But keep in mind that in the United States, almost nobody who reads, writes, or does arithmetic gets much respect. We are a land of talkers. We pay talkers the most and admire talkers the most. And so our children talk constantly, following the public models of television and school teachers. It is very difficult to teach the basics anywhere because they really aren't basic to the society we have made. Okay, we are in the last paragraph. Two institutions at present control our children's lives: television and schooling. All right, in that order. So let's see why. Both of these reduce the real world of wisdom, fortitude, temperance, and justice to a never ending, non stopping abstraction. In centuries past, the time of a child and adolescent would be occupied in real work, real charity, real adventures, and the realistic search for mentors who might teach what you really wanted to learn. A great deal of time was spent in community pursuits, practicing affection, meeting and studying every level of the community, learning how to make a home, and dozens of other tasks necessary to become a whole man or woman. So somehow we have an idea of what kind of personality the speaker has, right? So may we say that the speaker, John Taylor Gatto, who was awarded by New York City Teacher of the Year in 1989. He was so critical about the school system and accusatory. He was direct in his speech and straightforward. Do you agree in that? Based on his experience, perhaps that's why he had observed and concluded that schools do not educate. Okay, let's see, based on the title, okay? Now, some of his beliefs about schools and education. Okay, compulsory education harms students. It's not voluntary. It's like if you're age 6, you have to be in school and you should be in grade 1. Something like this, okay? And people learn from authentic experiences and choices, okay? Not academically when you sit in the classroom. From authentic experiences and choices. Okay, traveling is one way to learn, okay? But reading, when you're into reading, it brings you to many places, just like Dr. Seuss said. Okay, when you read, the book brings you to the place where you are reading. You know, if you're engrossed to what you're reading and you are into one of the characters, the story brings you to that place, that particular time and age, okay? And even be in the character of one of the characters in the story. The family and the community are essential to a child's development. It is very important for the family to mold the young minds of the children. Even before they go to school, learning starts at home. Okay. Education should make you a unique individual, not a conformist. You do not conform with any idea, but you learn from it. Just like what we used to read in the past years, when you were in grade 7, in grade 8, it's always mentioned by your mentor, your facilitator, your teacher that we have those stories in Checkpoint as a guide, okay, to allow us to enrich our skills in writing. Checkpoint is not about comprehension, but we learn from those who wrote those passages in Checkpoint, in the textbook. Okay, we get their style, we get to know how they wrote those passages, and we learn from them and we develop our own skill in writing. It should furnish you with an original spirit with which to tackle the big challenges It should allow you to find values. We're referring to education, okay? Which will be your roadmap through life. It should make you spiritually rich, a person who loves whatever you're doing, wherever you are, whomever you're with, and education should teach you what is important, how to live and how to die. Going back to the passage, these are some of the beliefs mentioned. Okay, from this paragraph, it is absurd and anti-life. So this is one of his beliefs. It is absurd to be a part of a system that compels you to sit in confinement with people of exactly the same age and social class. Okay, so for him it's absurd to be sitting with your peers. Okay, and here it's absurd and anti-life to be part of a system that compels you to listen to a stranger reading poetry. That means if you are not interested in the topic and your interest is in handicrafts, okay, so it doesn't do good. It doesn't enhance what you want to be someday. But we have to we have to follow, conform with the requirement, the curriculum. What should we study in grade 9? What should we get done with? You want to be a doctor someday? Why are you taking up, okay, subjects like social studies, right? Okay, let's see and continue. It is absurd and anti-life to move from cell to cell at the sound of a gong every day of your natural youth in an institution that allows you no privacy and even follows you in the sanctuary of your home, demanding that you do its homework. Okay, for him it is not really, it doesn't do any student good when they study in school, and even at home they have to complete the task at home. For him, this is his belief. It is absurd and anti-life. Okay, so let's go back and proceed. This is a summary of John Gatto's speech. This is given to you only to give you an idea on how you will deal with your article. And there's another exercise pertaining to this passage. This will guide you as to how the speech was written and delivered. Okay, so once you read this summary, you'll have an idea on how you'll do your own article and your own summary. Let's see. Oh, letter to the editor, I mean. Okay, so I'll leave this to you. Read the summary. Somehow, you can make your own summary after reading the full text if you're really that into this speech delivered by John Gatto. Okay, let's see. This is the second part of the summary. So we have 2 slides for it. And you may be familiar with the summary before you can come up with your article, the requirement for exercise in exercise 4, and the letter to the editor, the requirement in exercise 5. Let's see. This is somehow an example of a report on Gatto's speech, so that you'll have an idea on how to do your report. Okay, now this will be your guide, and this is how it was prepared for you to serve as your guide in writing your own report. Again, your report has to be written in your copybook, and when you're done, don't forget to send me a copy either in Discord via direct message or in my WhatsApp account. Okay, preserve your work, send it to me in my account, because if you send it to our group, your classmates may be tempted to get an idea from your own work. Okay, I want you have your distinct styles, and I want you to develop your own style. Okay, so let's continue. So this is an example of the report you'll be reading. The final part says here, what follows is the text of the speech he gave upon being named Teacher of the Year, and then what follows is the full text of the speech, which I didn't write here. This is just the introduction of the report and the or the article. This is what I was mentioning. Exercise 5, which is found on page 108 in your textbook. You'll have to choose two ideas put forward by John Gatto in his speech. You have to read this speech and reread the extract on page 107, and you may take two ideas from there. And you will write a letter to the newspaper, addressed to the editor, of course, in which the report was published. Okay, granting that the report that you will write will be published in Arab news, and then pretend that you are a reader of and you have read the speech of John Gatto. You have read an article like what you have written, and you have to react to what you've read. And you're going to write a letter to the editor saying in detail why you agree or disagree with the views he expresses. Remember, you must show clear understanding of the original ideas as well as giving your own views. Okay, let's see. Here is a plan of how you will do the letter to the editor. First, you're going to choose which idea. Remember, in our previews, in our article, we have these 3 paragraphs which represent the beliefs of John Gatto. You may take some of his views from here. All right, and from all the paragraphs you may. I'm just telling you that you may choose from these 3 paragraphs. They are what John Gatto believed in. Alright, so let's continue. The first idea, you write about, okay, I wrote about this idea to which I disagreed, and the second idea, which I've read from his speech, I agreed to this. And how did I do it? How did I present it in my letter to the editor? Let's see. Okay, this is the letter to the editor itself. Okay, dear editor, you're gonna start your letter with, dear editor, I have read John Gatto's acceptance speech when he was recognized Teacher of the Year by New York City. Okay, now you will write your name in this manner, full name, okay, and you may write just the place where you live, not the exact address, okay. Now, you may go over this letter and get an idea on how you should write a letter to the editor. Okay, it's blocked form. This is blocked because the first lines are not indented. Okay, now let's see. The next part is what I told you about. If you want to read the full context of John Gatto's speech, you may go to this link. Okay, so you have 2 homeworks to do. First is the article in exercise 4, and exercise 5, the letter to the editor. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna leave you with your tasks, and thank you for staying with me, and be safe, be healthy, and happy virtual learning from your other subjects. Okay, that would be all, and bye for now.